Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about research methods versus design, and it is a little tricky. So this was a good assignment to talk about the differences. All right, so I made this infograph, and I just kind of put methods on the left and design on the right. So let's get into it here. So a research method are like those smaller pieces of the procedures that are used to collect and analyze the data. Um, and then the design is like the large, overarching area where you put your the research question, the step-by-step process, how the research will be conducted, what type of data you're going to collect, how you're going to collect it, how it's going to be analyzed. So it's like the large umbrella, and then the method is like the tinier little bits inside of that, how you'll facilitate the design. All right. Another piece of the method, the research method is it's directly tied to the design. It's contingent on the design. So you would not necessarily use, a type of method with another type of design. They might not go together. Some examples of design, and this is not exhaustive, are, let's just put myself over here for a second. Experimental design, correlational, descriptive, longitudinal, cross-sectional, ethnographic. So I don't know too much about all those, but I do know about like action research. A lot of times teachers do that in the classroom, and then case studies. So case studies I've been reading a lot about. There's actually a subsection in the databases of the ACE library, so you can pull up dissertations. So I do a lot of like reading of dissertations as they are about art and art classrooms and art teachers. So I can kind of like look at what's been done in the past and how I might go about looking at some of my art research that I want to investigate. And a lot of the ones that I've been reading are case studies. So that kind of leads me into maybe that's an easier track when it deals with some of these artistic questions that are harder to quantify. So it can still be mixed methods, can still have the qualitative and quantitative, but it would be a case study. So it'd be like this kind of longer looking piece of a case study. All right. Another part of methods is like, for example, I think we already talked about this, but if it's a survey design, then one of the tiny methods would be, you're going to use a questionnaire inside of it. Another piece of the design to explain that, the difference is the design will explain, how you're going to choose your participants and your sample, dependent on, your question, your research question, your focus. And then I think this is like the last piece here, methods, research methods, they can be surveys, observations, like Likert scales or different scales, interviews, focus groups. That's not exhaustive. There's lots of other methods for collecting the information. And then the design, again, is that large overarching process, the step-by-step. It's focused on, like, what is the research problem? And it would take into consideration, like, do we need to get permission for, the ethics piece if we're using people and animals, things like that. So the method seems to be like this little part of how you're going to facilitate all those pieces within the design. And then at the bottom, I have a reference that I pulled about differentiating the two. So that is my presentation on the research methods versus the design. And it was a good project for me just to be able to put it down on paper and talk about it to differentiate it with my own research. Thanks.